when you react to someone doing horrible things, right? Or let's just say there's an angry person in public and they are trying to start a fight. They're a dirty construction worker, right? Fuck them. I'm just kidding. I'm one of them. But the point I'm trying to make is this. They are causing havoc, chaos, yelling, screaming. Maybe they're drunk. Maybe they're fucking whatever, right? We know. We can put this in our minds and understand what I'm trying to say, right? In that scenario, without thinking about it and being somebody that reacts to things, if you are reacting in such a way that's common or what they normally deal with, let's say in like, oh, here's my opportunity to save, that old lady that he's about to get close to and intimidate or possibly injure, where he knows this is how people deal with it. Hey man, you fucking douchebag, you dirty little bing bong, you angry dude, get the fuck away from her. Like, those reactions is all of that person knows their whole life. And so, in my opinion, and oftentimes it doesn't work to bring a change, although you may think, oh yeah, well, he just needed a beat down or whatever. Sure, whatever, you can think that. But as far as bringing change in a wise way to the world for this person and changing or giving an opportunity for them to see themselves and to see what they're doing, instead of having more confirmation that the world sucks and that he is righteous in his anger, we do the wise thing. We prevent further issue. And how do you do that? Go inside yourself first and realize being angry at this person will never help. So the next step would be, how can I wisely, calmly deal with this and not react in immediate reaction, but rather create this situation for an opportunity for this person to see themselves in the way that they wouldn't have previously, because all they ever deal with is people getting upset and angry at them. How can you do that? Let's just say it would be, hey man, and you might get his attention, and you kind of entirely switch it all up. You bring the vibe to where you want it to be in this place to become helpful. And let's just say you say, hey, and he's like, what the fuck do you want? And you're like, what are you doing? You want to stay with that energy so he's not like just disregarding you kind of. And you'd get his energy and focus, and you would bring it down, and you'd kind of lay it to sleep in a way. You'd be like, hey man, what are you drinking? Or what are you doing? And like, he'd be like, I'm going to come beat your ass. What are you talking about? He's angry, right? And maybe you'll catch him in the right mode. And I know I'm getting kind of specific here, but there's a point to this that you'll understand. You surprise him with love, essentially. You'd go, hey man, how are you? Like, how are you doing? And he might be like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean, how am I doing? Can't you tell how I'm doing? And you might just begin by throwing him off guard completely. You can tell him a story. I see. Well, I'll tell you how I'm doing. Last night, me and my wife, we had a nice glass of tea together. And we watched our tree grow that we planted a year ago. And the tree is doing really well. The tree is growing from the bottom to the top. And it's really fun because me and my wife, we love to just watch that tree and just see how well it's been growing ever since we, planted it and pruned it and everything. It's just such a beautiful sight. And I love to drink tea with my wife. And, in this scenario, let's say he goes, your wife? And you could go, yeah. Where's your wife? Like, do you have a wife? And again, he's drunk, so he's able to be manipulated in a positive way. Let's just look at it as, and you can steer him in the right direction. And he might be like, oh yeah, my wife, she died years ago. And then you see like how you're bringing out of this person and taking them away from the anger, but actually bringing them down to the source of an issue and seeing how much they were angry, and yet there's a person that totally cares in front of them because they weren't upset. I'm not upset. I'm the person throwing him off, right? With kindness. That's so awestrucking for somebody angry that they don't even know what to do. Like, now that they went from being in control and angry to actually having to give up their control, because it's so odd. You don't even know what to do when someone's kind, because all you know your whole life is everyone doing the same thing. You're fucked up, you're bad, you're suspended, you're kicked out of class, you're a fucking douchebag, right? So it's like, when you think about it, you're not even ever, like, you're not the cool one for standing up to the guy and being upset back at him. You're doing nothing. You're not being mature. You're doing the same thing everybody's done that keeps him thinking that he's right in his anger. When you give him that opportunity to think and see himself, and opportunity to actually receive love, you're opening a massive space for possibility to bloom from. And I've seen this work in my own experience, honestly, many times, because of the surprise aspect to it. And the specific kind of rambly story I gave you here was a story about, it's way off, by the way, I just wanted to say it quickly, but Ram Dass tells the story about someone having this experience, and he does Aikido, which is like a form of martial arts that's literally about removing the problem without any sort of force before it ever happens, and then if you need to, obviously use the physical art of Aikido. And so the guy was wanting to really have this opportunity to finally fuck him up in a way that's totally acceptable, because there's an angry person, and yet somebody else stepped in, a little tiny Chinese guy, and he got his attention with that hey, and just started telling him a story, and then the story ends with the construction worker like getting his head petted by the Chinese guy on the train, or in public. And I thought that was a great story, and I wanted to tell it because there's something powerful going on when you are able to be the light for people, instead of finding the opportunity for you to now leash out your anger, or your opportunity to go, oh, well, it's okay if I'm angry now, I'm gonna go beat his ass, he deserves it. You're not doing anything good. You think you are, blah, 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 fine. You're not quite there yet in your own understanding, in my opinion, because the way is to surprise him with love that he doesn't even know what to do. You might put him in a throw. You might freeze him up, dude. I do this all the time, every day of my life, in all sorts of scenarios, that what normally people react like, I just see an opportunity for as a gleaming light of difference, and for them to now have a space for new possibilities, whereas normally it would never happen. Hope that makes sense. I felt called to just tell you this probably nonsensical way of explaining this, but I hope that somebody can just get the point and see this as an opportunity for something each time.